Good afternoon. I will start in a minute. Just 1 minute, and then we will get started. Okay, we can get started now. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining the session. Please, before I proceed, can you please confirm if you can see me and if you can hear me? That is very important before I get started with the session. Let me know if you can hear me clearly and also if you can see me. You can just let me know in the chat. Send a thumbs up or something. Audio, video. Okay, so we are good. Thank you for confirming. That means we can get started with the session then. If you are new here, I am Bokamoso Julius. I am an awardee of the Mauritius-Africa Scholarship Scheme. I'm currently doing my PhD at the University of Technology, Mauritius. I've been here for, so far, it's been 4 years since I've been here. I'm at the end of my program. I've been making some videos about studying in Mauritius, and throughout the videos, I've gotten some questions about studying here, life as a student here, life as a math scholar. I also recently had a one-on-one consultation with one of the applicants, and he asked very interesting questions, which is what inspired this live session. The questions that he asked, I felt that they might be beneficial to you also as an applicant. So that is why I decided to do a live session so that I can address all the questions, even the ones that you have. So before we started here, there are a couple of things that I would like you to do. Firstly, can you let us know where you are joining from? I am in Mauritius, like I already mentioned. Where are you joining us from? Just let us know in the chat. I would like to know who is in the house this afternoon. I would like to know who is joining. Actually, it's afternoon here in Mauritius. It's 12:30 p.m. If you're in Botswana, I believe it's 10:30 because we are 2 hours ahead of you. So please let us know where you are. There's Zimbabwe. Thank you for joining. Zimbabwe is our neighbor. I'm from Botswana, by the way. And the second thing that I would like you to do is to take part in this poll to let me know where you are currently at. Are you still researching or thinking about studying in Mauritius? Are you in the application process? Have you been accepted and already packing your bags? Or are you already here and studying? Please take part in the chat. And let me see where I can put the chat so that it doesn't distract us. Yeah, I think it's good here. Yeah. So the Zambia. Okay, welcome from Zambia. All right, thank you for joining. Yeah, you can take part in the poll. There is a poll there on the screen. I hope you can see the poll. You can just vote on the poll. All right, but I can see a couple of people are already in the application process. And then the last thing that I want you to do before we start the session is that you can book a one-on-one consultation. You can just screen the QR code on the screen, because I know there are some people who prefer to get one-on-one personalized guidance. Maybe there are some things that you are missing from my videos and you would like to talk to me directly one-on-one. Feel free to book a one-on-one consultation. Like I said before, I had a consultation recently with one of the applicants, and he asked very interesting questions, which is why I am doing the live session. So through your questions, I am able to come up with videos that address your concerns. Okay. All right. That being said, let's get into the Q&A. I've already compiled some questions from my videos and also from the recent consultation call that I had. But if you have your own questions, you can just put them in the chat. I will pause and address your questions as I go through the session. Okay, it doesn't mean that we are just going to focus on the questions that I already have, but if you have your own questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. I will pause and address them. So I categorized the questions. I put them into different categories. The first category that I'm going to focus on is admissions and scholarships. So I'm going to address questions that are related to admissions and scholarships. The first question that I have is the tuition support an annual or a whole program figure? For this one, I want to share my screen and explain this so that you have a better understanding. Give me a second. Let me share my screen, and then please let me know if you can see my screen, okay? Here's the screen. Okay. All right. Can you see my screen? Can you see my shared screen? Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you for confirming. So now I can explain. I can get back to the question. So what this is a screenshot from the it's a screenshot I took from the guidelines for MPhil and PhD students. This is for PhD, it's not undergraduate. I took it from the MPhil PhD guidelines. And as you can see, there are two different categories. There is one for SADC and non-SADC countries. So if you are from a SADC country, your fees are up to 100,000 rupees. And then if you are from a non-SADC country, your fees are 160,000. So you cannot exceed the limit. You cannot, this is your cap, this is your limit. You cannot exceed that. Let's say, for example, let me take a pen. Let's say, for example, you are from SADC. I don't have a mouse, I'm using my keypad. Okay, let's say you are from SADC, right? And if you are from SADC, your cap is 100K, right? 100K, 100,000, right? And from this 100,000, your tuition fee is, let me take a pen. Okay, undo. Your tuition fee is, I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, that's it. Sorry for that. It would be easier with the mouse, but I don't have a mouse, so okay. This is no. This is 100K, right? You are from SADC and your limit is 100K. Let's say your tuition fee is 80K, 80,000. Okay, that is your tuition, and it's an annual fee. It's 1 year. It's paid annually. This 100K is not like the total of your whole program. Only 1 year. So each year you have 100K limit that you cannot exceed. So let's say this is tuition, right? Okay, I think it will be better if I put text. It will be faster if I put text. Let's say tuition. This is for your tuition, right? This is your tuition, 80K. So from this 100K, your tuition fee is 80K. That means you are left with 20K, right? Please bear with me. That means, let me take a pencil. That means you are left, no, pencil, please. Okay, that means you are left with 20K, right? So this 20K will cover what they call miscellaneous fees, like general fees. If you have other extra fees besides the tuition, it will be covered by the 20K. And by the way, you don't get this money into your account. It's paid directly to your university. So you first, your 80K covers tuition, and then you have 20K, which would cover any extra fees that you may have. So that is equals to 100K. Anything beyond this, let me do this. Okay. So anything beyond this, then you have to pay it yourself. Anything beyond this 80K and the 20K, you will have to pay for the extra fees. But what I can say is for the past 4 years, I haven't had an experience where I exceeded the limit. I've never received an invoice from my university that I exceeded the limit. So you shouldn't worry too much about that. I don't think you will exceed the limit. And remember, this is for MPhil, PhD. Unless you have some modules, maybe your university may say you have some mandatory modules. It's for you to find out how much those modules are, and are they within the limit that has been set by the scholarship, so that you don't exceed the limit. Because if you exceed, you will have to pay. That was an example for SADC. It's also applicable to non-SADC. Let's say your fees are 100K, you are left with 60K. Anything beyond that, you have to pay extra. Okay. So did you understand the tuition one? I'm going to move on to the next question. So let me stop sharing so that I can go back to the question, to the questions. That was that on the tuition. I'm going to move to the next question. How the mass tuition support actually works. Is it annual ceiling or the whole program? And has anyone faced a tuition gap they had to cover themselves? I think I've already covered this, that there's a cap, there's an annual cap, and you cannot exceed that cap. If you exceed, you will have to pay. I don't know anyone who has exceeded that cap, and I've never exceeded that cap. All right. And then the next question is, what hidden or unexpected costs new scholars typically face? There are no hidden or unexpected costs to that you can anticipate. But what I can say is that there are no publication fees. As an MPhil, as a PhD student, you are expected to have some publications, and that is important for your graduation. If you don't have a publication, you cannot graduate. And publication is not free. There are some journals that can publish for free, but it's difficult to find those journals. So publication fee is not covered by the scholarship, unfortunately. They do have a publication scheme, I think once a year, but it's highly competitive because it's open to everyone, even local students, and it's on a first come, first serve basis, and it's not much. You can apply. If you get lucky, you can get that amount. If not, should you need to publish, you may have to dig deep into your pockets to get your paper published, especially if you want to graduate. Like, for example, I am on an MPhil PhD program. For my MPhil, for me to pass my MPhil and move to PhD, one of the requirements was a publication, and my supervisors paid from their own pockets. They paid for my paper to be published because the scholarship does not cover publication fees. Are we still together? Please let me know if we are still together so that I know that I'm not rambling, I'm not talking to myself. And then the next question on tuition is there an age limit for the scholarship or for undergraduate programs in general? Yes, there is an age limit. For undergraduate, you should be 18 years above, but you should not have exceeded 26 years. And then for postgraduate programs, for MPhil, for PhD, you should not be more than 40 years. So that is the age limit for the scholarship. I think I saw a comment here. It says, is there age limit to study BSc program? I'm not sure about age limit for universities. I've never seen age limit for universities. I think universities are always open to enrolling students, but for the scholarship, there is an age limit. Okay. All right. Are we still together? Chami says, yes, we are still together. Thank you, Chami. Chami is so engaged. Thank you so much for your participation. I'm going to move to the next question, which is how does the research funding envelope work in practice for research students doing field work outside Mauritius? And does it create any funding or administrative complications? I don't think there is a allowance for research. I've never received that. Should you need to do research outside of Mauritius, I think you have to cover the fees yourself. Personally, I've never had to go into a field to collect data. I did everything online. Like I would use surveys, focus group interviews when I was interviewing students or doing focus group. Unless your research is field based, I don't know about that, but I don't think your expenses will be covered for you to travel to a certain country to collect your data. Okay. All right. Any questions on the admissions and scholarships before I move to the next category? I want to give you an opportunity to ask. Those are the questions that I have under admissions and scholarships. And mind you, they are not the, I did not make up these questions. I extracted them from my videos, from the comments in my videos, and also from one of the recent consultations I had. So if you have any questions about admissions or scholarship, this is your moment to ask before I move to the next category. Okay, I think we are all good. I'm going to move to the next category, which is about financials and payments. financials and payments. The first question is that, is the tuition support an annual or a whole program figure? It's annual. The 100K, 160K is annual. I already addressed that. And then the second question is how the mass tuition support. Oh, sorry. I think I am repeating this. Sorry, I am on the wrong category. We are on financials and payments, right? I've already addressed those questions. Sorry for that. Okay, so the first question under financials and payments is, why is it so difficult to pay the application fee from outside Mauritius? Are there online alternatives to manual bank deposits? Unfortunately, it depends on the university and how advanced they are. I think there are some universities where you can pay online, but for some, you have to do a manual transfer. I think for my university, it's a manual transfer. It's tedious. I also faced the same challenge. It was very difficult to do that. But I think the best way is to go to your bank and ask them to make an international transfer. And when you go to the bank, transfer in USD, do not transfer in Mauritian rupee, because the rupee is low. Sometimes if you try to transfer directly from your currency to the rupee, it doesn't work. The transfer doesn't go through. So, for example, if application fee is USD 25, do not try to convert that to Mauritian rupee. Transfer it as it is, as a $25. Okay. And you should have, I think you should have a, I don't know if there's a, what do you call, is it FX? Just go to the bank and ask them to make an international transfer and have all the banking details, because the university provides you with their banking details where you can make that transfer. And once you make the transfer, the money doesn't reflect immediately. It takes a couple of days to reach the university, but you should keep the proof of payment. Okay. And then, how reliable and on what schedule the monthly stipend is paid, and whether it realistically covers rent, food, and transport in Mauritius. The monthly stipend is paid between the 25th, 26th, 27th, and it's consistent every month. You will not get your stipend late. It's paid on time every month. But there's a catch to that. For undergraduate, I don't know how it works, but for postgraduate, if you are MPhil or PhD, every month you have to submit a progress report for what you did on what you did for that particular month. And there's a deadline for submission of the progress report. You submit the progress report through your university, and the report should be signed by your supervisor and the head of your doctoral school. If your report doesn't reach the ministry on time, unfortunately, you will not get the stipend. Or if you don't submit the progress report, unfortunately, you will not get the stipend. So every month, you have to make sure that you have to work on your research, and then your supervisors write a report. It's not you who write the report, actually. It's your supervisors. They write on the progress that you have made for that particular month, and then the report is submitted to the ministry. Then you get your stipend. If you have submitted your report, there won't be any issues with getting your stipend. And when you get your stipend, it's supposed to cover your rent, food, and transport. I will address that in the next question, how it looks like. Okay. And then, what does a realistic monthly living budget look like for a postgraduate scholar? Let's take an example. I'm also going to share my screen so that I can do like a demonstration, like a quick demonstration. Let me know if you can see my screen again before I start my demonstration. Can you see my screen, please? Hello, can you see my screen? Okay. Thank you for the confirmation. I am going to do like a demonstration. So your stipend is RS 16,500 per month. This is how much you get per month. Let's take two different examples. Let's say for example, you live in a shared accommodation, right? Here, shared accommodation or shared house. Let me say shared house. This is a situation where you live in a big house and you live with other students. And then there is another scenario where you live alone. Let's say you found a studio and you live alone. Studio. Individual accommodation. Okay, you live alone. So your budget and how much you spend on your stipend is going to depend on the type of accommodation you choose. And of course, the bulk of your stipend is going to go towards your rent because rent is expensive. So it's going to take a big chunk of your stipend. Usually, rented or shared house, a good one is about let's say you pay 8,000, okay, for rent. And then this side, let's say, where's the pen? Let's say here you pay 10,000 for a studio. 10,000. Okay. So that is for your rent, and this side, rent. And then the good thing about a shared house is that usually the bills are inclusive. Like if you share a house with other students and you pay 8,000, bills are inclusive. Electricity is included in the rent, Wi-Fi is included in the rent, and water. So you just pay 8,000 and that's it. So in this case, there are, let's see, sorry. So in this case, let's say no bills. Okay, you do not have bills here. But this side, you will have bills, of course. Studios often exclude the bills. Your 10,000 is just flat rent fee. And then you will have to pay for Wi-Fi, which is probably around 1,300. And then there's electricity. Electricity will depend on your usage. If you are going to use the AC, you will need AC during summer because it's very hot. Let's say you use AC and your electricity is 1,000. And then water is not too expensive. Sometimes it's included in the rent. Assuming it's not included, maybe you pay 200 rupees for electricity. Okay, so this is Wi-Fi, and this is electricity. Electricity. Okay, it's not an English lesson, it's okay. It's electricity, and then this is water. Okay, So that means so far here, your total is, I'm not good with math, 10,000, 11,000, 12,000. So 12,500. That's the money you have spent so far. 12,000 what? 10, 11, 12. 500. Okay. 500. So that is what you spend roughly if you are living alone. Oh, yeah. And then here you have no bills. So that means you have some money left. There is food and toiletries. Here I was just showing you the basics, the basics that you have to pay for, that you cannot run away from. But food, it will depend on what you eat and what you like. Food, maybe you are likely to, food and toiletries, perhaps you are likely going to spend, realistically I would say maybe you are likely going to spend 5,000, because food is it's expensive too. So 5,000, and also here plus 5,000 for food. Okay, so if you are living alone, you just have to worry about your rent and your food. No, if you are sharing with other students, you just have to worry about your rent and your food. So likely you'll spend what's 8 plus 5? 13K, right? Maybe, I think 13,000. And then 12,000 plus 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Okay, that's a little too high. Maybe let's say 4,000 here instead of 5,000. But that's basically it. I think it's a realistic. I like the example because the budget has gone beyond. It shows that it is not enough. Realistically, your stipend is not enough. It will only cover the basics. So you have to do some extra work. You have to find some part-time jobs to sustain yourself. The stipend is just to cover the basics, but otherwise it will be depleted, and yeah, it's a good example. It shows that it will go beyond. It does go beyond. It doesn't cover everything. In terms of transport, you don't have to worry about transport because you will get a bus pass, and the bus pass allows you to ride the bus for free. If you live where there is metro is the train, you can also get the metro pass that allows you to ride the metro or the bus for free. But there is a catch. The free ride is only from your place of residence to your university. If you are coming from where you live and going to the university, the ride is free. But if you go gallivanting, if you go on an adventure, of course you will have to pay for the bus. The free ride is only for you to go to the university. The good thing is that you can use, if on your adventure or gallivanting, you can use your card to get a discount. Students do get discount in buses. So in terms of budgeting for transport, if you are just going to the university, there's no need to worry about that. But for your own adventures, like you see here, the stipend doesn't cover adventure, unfortunately. So you will have to find other means of covering for your adventure. That was just an example. I just wanted to show you how it might look. It will be different depending on your living arrangement, whether you are sharing with other students or you are living alone. All right, are we still together? Do you have any questions on the financials? That was that. Let me know if you have any questions on the financials. Otherwise, I'm going to move to the next category. The next category that we are going to look at is accommodation and logistics. Accommodation is a big problem. Yes, I admit it's very difficult to find accommodation as an international student, especially if you are outside of Mauritius. Public universities here do not have on campus facilities. That means you have to find independent accommodation, and that can be challenging. If your university doesn't provide you with a list of accommodation providers, it's very difficult to find accommodation. In my case, it was not difficult. I got a contact of a landlord from my university. I contacted the landlord, and she had rooms available, and I was able to secure a room. I started off by sharing, by the way. I think in your case, if you do want to get visa, start by sharing. Start by finding accommodation for sharing. It might be difficult for you to find a studio or an apartment, but usually there are some houses that are accommodating international students. You can start with that, and then once you are in Mauritius, then you can explore and find what is suitable for you. Okay, let me see, check the first question for accommodation. Can I change my accommodation after I arrive if I find something better than what I use for my visa application? Absolutely. You can change your accommodation. When I first came, like I said, I was sharing, but when I arrived, I was not impressed with the accommodation. I did not like the accommodation. I did not like the location. So after a couple of months, I think after 2 months, I found something better. I found a studio, and I moved out. When you move out, you have to inform your university so that they can update your address at the PIO, Passport and Immigration Office, so you can change your accommodation. Okay, and then the next question. Are there rooms available for 4,000? My God. 4,000 is for food. You cannot find a room for 4,000. I mean, unless you are living in a box. But don't budget with 4,000. Realistically, start from 8,000 rupees. Okay, don't budget with 4,000. That is very cheap. Very, very cheap. All right. It's so quiet in the comments. Are you guys still here? You are making me talk to myself. Are you still here? So quiet in here. I hope I'm not talking to myself. Are you still there? There's a good question there. Should I bring my own cookware from home? No, 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 no. Unless you know you are from Zim, right? I'm from Botswana. We like our sadza. You know that black pot that cooks sadza that has a long handle. I don't have a picture of it. Yeah, perhaps you can bring that one for your salsa. You can only bring one for your salsa, because here you will not find a good pot for your salsa. But otherwise, don't bring cookware, don't bring bedding, don't bring furniture. Houses here are fully furnished because they are designed for accommodating tourists. So like in my case, in my studio, it was fully furnished. I didn't need to buy anything, unless maybe you want some extra stuff like a blender, or other special cookware, but otherwise you don't need to bring anything. Yes, hello from Zim, welcome. All right, I'm gonna move to the next question. I have my Zim neighbors today. Thank you for joining. What's the next question? For PhD students who need a quiet environment, what areas do you recommend? Are landlords open to students bringing their families? Okay, the first part of the question, you want to stay away from the city. If you are doing PhD, you are likely not going to have classes, unless maybe there are some evening classes that you have to attend, but otherwise you do. Even for MPhil, I think if you are a postgraduate student, you will not need to go to a university a lot. I don't go to my university a lot. I only go if I'm called for a meeting by the head of the doctoral school, or there's an event that I need to attend, a workshop. You don't need to go to the university. So as a PhD student, stay away from the city. There's nothing in Port Louis. There's nothing interesting in Port Louis. Port Louis is for business. People come and do business. After hours, it's just a ghost town. So for quiet places, I don't have specific places, but I would say go where there are activities that you can do. Like for example, in Grand Bay. Grand Bay is a good location, but it's a bit far from the university. If you have evening classes, it might be challenging. But if you don't have classes, you can go to Grand Bay, Flick and Flag. They are expensive though, but they are nice areas for. I think I find they are suitable for research students. I live in Grand Bay. It has been amazing, but you can also find quiet places like Lato. How do you say Lato Koning? Those places you can find a nice quiet area. Are landlords open to students bringing their families? That will depend on the type of accommodation you take. For example, you cannot bring a whole family in a house that you share with other students. That is not practical unless you take the whole house for your family. And then secondly, the scholarship does not cover dependents. You know, there are some scholarships where you're allowed to bring dependents and they will be covered by the scholarship, but in this case they are not covered by the scholarship. If you bring your son, your daughter, your wife, they are not covered by the scholarship. You will have to apply for a different visa for them and you have to pay. I have my son with me here. Well, I fell pregnant in Mauritius, but I gave birth in France, and then I came back with my son to Mauritius. My son is under his dad's permit. So when you bring dependents, they are attached to your permit. But my son is not attached to my permit because my permit was expiring soon. You know, I've been here for years. So he was added on his father's permit. The father paid, I think, $400. It's expensive. You have to pay for those permit. Like for example, if you want to bring 2 kids, you have to pay $400 for each kid. If you bring the wife, I don't know how much it is for adults, but the permit for dependents or for family are not free. You have to pay for that. Okay. There's a question. When I enter Mauritius, what is necessary for me to declare when I'm at customs? Food, stuff, and what is not allowed? Okay, I'll get back to this question when we talk about this one's customs. Let me finish accommodation, okay? Thank you for the question. The last question on accommodation is, what should I do if a landlord refuses to share their ID for school documentation but delivers the paper themselves to the school? I find this is ridiculous. Like you, from the landlords, it's ridiculous. I don't understand why they refuse with documents. First of all, you have trusted them with your money. You have paid your money. They should provide you with the necessary documents. Because if they submit the documents directly to the university, if they submit their ID to the university and a letter confirming your accommodation to the university, that means you don't have a copy, because the university will take the documents and submit them to the PIO for your permit. You will still need these documents to open a bank account, to get a local SIM card. So just ask nicely, explain that you are not using their documents for personal reasons. You need these documents. Even at the airport, sometimes you may be asked for proof of accommodation. If you don't have the letter and you don't have the ID of the person who is accommodating you, you might have problems. You might not even enter the island. So I don't like this issue of landlords refusing with documents. I mean, if you don't want to share documents, don't provide accommodation. Just ask nicely, because you need these documents, okay? Don't brush it or don't overlook it. You will need these documents. Get the letter confirming your accommodation, get their ID, get a recent bill from them, okay? They can send directly to the school, but they should also make some copies for you. Have some copies. All right, that is that on accommodation. Let me see, there's a question. In case of families, can one take the family during the first entry to Mauritius, or you wait for the issuance of permanent visa permit? I think here it would depend on whether your family is given the permit or not. But if you are, I don't know, SADC countries, you are allowed to enter the island without a visa or on a tourist visa, right? Like if you are from such country, like for example, if you come from Botswana and you want to come to Mauritius for holiday, you don't need visa. You can enter for 90 days. So in your case, if you are from such country like SADC, and you are allowed to come to Mauritius on a tourist visa, perhaps you could bring your family on that tourist visa. You come on your student visa, and they come on your on a tourist visa. And tourist visa is 90 days. And you also, on your first entry, you get a visa that allows you to enter Mauritius for 3 months. So both of you and your family, you are on a 3 months entry to Mauritius. And as soon as you arrive here, you will have to process the permits for them so that they can get the residence permit and stay with you here. Okay. Let's go to the next category. We are done with accommodation and logistics. Unless there are questions, you can put them in the chat. I'm going to go to safety and social reality. What is the reality of living here? How safe is it? Let me go to the questions. The first question is that what is the general security situation like for international students? It is safe. It is a safe island, but like any other country in the city, you have to be careful. You have to take care of your belongings. Like for example, if you go to Port Louis, Port Louis is a crowded area. It's a busy area. It's a busy city. You have to be alert. The Port Louis, I mean, the town side, not Cordon. If you go to Cordon is nice, it's okay. But if you go like to in the city center, yeah, it's crazy there, so you have to be careful. But otherwise, for living, I've been here 4 years. I've never had my bag snatched. I've never had anything stolen from me. I've lived in my studio. I've never had any issues. So it's safe, and also it depends on the location that you choose. Do not choose a location where there are drug addicts. Of course, you will have problems there. Just find a suitable, suitable, safe accommodation. And then the next question on safety and security is the country welcoming to dark-skinned students, or are there racial tensions to be aware of? No, they are welcoming. They are very welcoming people. I haven't had instances of racism. They're okay. They're welcoming. There are no issues. Honestly, personally, for my personal experience, I haven't had this kind of problems. Okay. What was that question about? The one that it's a customs. Okay, I will get back to it when we talk about customs. Yeah. And then the next category we have is about work and career. Where is it? Work and career. So we're going to talk about working here and having a career here. Let's look at the questions under work and career. The first one is that, does the MAS scholarship or the student visa permit any paid work at all during studies, part-time, remote, or otherwise? Yes, you are allowed to work 20 hours a week, only 20 hours a week. Okay, you cannot work full-time. You cannot get a full-time job as a full-time student, but you are allowed to work part-time, 20 hours a week. What do scholars who need extra money actually do in practice? This is a touristic island. There are restaurants, lots of restaurants. I see when I go to a restaurant, sometimes I see a lot of African students working in restaurants. Hotels, you can work in a hotel. Maybe if you are into hospitality or something like that, you can work in hotels, you can work in supermarkets too. How difficult is it to find a job as an international student while studying? I don't have work experience because I've never worked part time. I've just been studying, but I think it's possible to get a job. Like I said, I've seen a lot of African students who work. You just have to find a restaurant or a supermarket to work from. How hard is it to get permanent residency or citizenship after finishing studies? It's not easy. It's not easy. Please don't bank on this. Like for example, when your permit, if your permit expires and you need to extend, and you have not completed your studies. Like in my case, I took a 3 months maternity break because I had to travel to France for giving birth. So I asked for a break, but I didn't get a break on my student permit. My student permit was valid for 4 years, and when I asked for the 3 months, it doesn't mean that you get the extra 3 months. The payment remain as is. So when the permit expired and I had to renew, I had to go to the Supreme Court to sign a declaration that I will not ask for Mauritian citizenship. Well, after you've stayed for 4 years, you are eligible to apply for citizenship, I think. But if you are a student and you have stayed 4 years and you request an extension of your student permit, you will not get the student permit without making that declaration at court. So it's very difficult to get citizenship here. And then the next question is a remote work for a non-Mauritian employer, for example, keeping a remote role for a Ugandan or international company, treated differently from local employment? You cannot work full time, please. Don't work full time. If you have a remote job, make sure that you are paid in your country bank account, maybe just to be safe, because if you are going to do an online full-time job and you are paid in your student bank account here, you will have problems with tax. So just don't do it, or get paid in your own country bank account. There's a comment. Okay, there's a good comment. Let me finish this and then I'll come back to the permit. That's a good one. It says, are there any permitted exceptions such as teaching assistantship, research assistantship, or an on-campus role that come with a stipend top-up? No. And universities here are quite small, so opportunities are limited. I've tried to find a teaching job. I couldn't find a teaching job. I couldn't get a teaching job, but I see sometimes there are instances where they require like a research assistant and you get a full salary. I don't know how that works with you being in a scholarship. You will have to find out, because oftentimes I see from universities requesting a research assistant and there's like a salary for that. But I don't know how that works with your scholarship. You will have to confirm with the ministry. And then, what happens to scholars who are found working? Is it a warning or does it risk the scholarship? Well, you are allowed to work part-time, but if you take a full-time job, yeah, I think it risks the scholarship. But what I can say is there is no one who is monitoring, who is coming and checking if you are working full-time or not. But just don't do it, okay? I'm gonna go to your comments now. It says, after studying, how do we get a work permit? So after you graduate, there is what we call young professional occupational permit. That is a permit that is given to those who have studied in Mauritius, and the maximum is 3 years. So if you get a job, if you find a job after you graduate, you can get that permit. The maximum is 3 years. And then after 3 years, then you will have to apply for occupational permit. Your company will have to apply for an occupational permit for you. So that is how it works. It depends on whether you get a job or not. If you get a job, you get a young professional occupational permit. If your company keeps you after the permit, the young occupational permit expires, young professional occupational permit expires, then you can get the occupational permit. How does the nomad visa work for remote jobs? Unfortunately, for this one, I have no idea. I have no idea about nomad visa remote jobs. Sorry, I've never encountered that. I don't know about this one. I'm sorry. Okay, that was that on work career. Now we are going to go into the last category, which is about travel and customs. And I'm going to start with the question from Rutendo. Rutendo asked something about customs. Let me look for the comment. Rutendo. Let me see. Just give me a second. There was a question he asked about customs. Oh, here. When I enter Mauritius, what is necessary for me to declare when I am at customs, e.g., foodstuff, and what is not allowed? Obviously, you are not allowed to bring drugs or explosive, those kind of things. The things that are considered dangerous. But in terms of food, I've never imported any food. When I came, I didn't do research. I was clueless. I just came as I am. So I honestly have no idea on what you need to declare. What I can suggest is that you go into Air Mauritius official website and see what is allowed there, because they will put the information on the website on what you can bring and what you cannot bring, because I don't want to give you a false response. I've never brought any food items here. No. Okay, let me check the questions under travel and customs. Let's see what you had. I think it's similar to the previous one. Am I allowed to bring specific food items like sorghum through customs? Like I said, I'm not quite sure, please. I think it would be better to check the Air Mauritius website so that you get accurate information. So that is that on the questions about studying in Mauritius. The questions that I extracted from the comments from my previous videos, and also the questions that I got from the recent one-on-one consultation call I had with an applicant. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes to ask any other question that you have. Maybe there's something that you forgot to ask that you remembered. You can ask here. It doesn't matter which category it belongs to. Just ask. This is our final moment before I close the session. And I do have a full playlist on studying in Mauritius. Go and check out that playlist. It's called Studying in Mauritius. Under my playlist, you will find different videos that explain the Mauritius-Africa Scholarship Scheme, accommodation issues, what to bring when you come to Mauritius, how to apply for student visa, how to fill out the application form. So go and binge watch those videos. I think they will also address some of the questions that you may have. So 1 minute, any other questions you have or any comment? Thank you so much for attending. Thank you, Rutendo Dalito. I hope I am pronouncing your name correctly, Dalito, and Chami. Thank you for participating. There was also Brown. He or she is in the application process. Thank you for attending and thank you for participating in the session. There's a last question here. Would you advise students to live inland where it is quieter or close to the beach where it is touristy? Where it is touristy is expensive. Like the houses around the beach are expensive. But the beach is accessible and there's a beach everywhere. If you live in Port Louis, you can take a bus and go. You can take a bus and go to Flick and Fleck Beach. You can take a bus and go to Monswazi Beach or Perry Bay Beach. So it's unless you want to wake up and see the ocean every day, then you can find an apartment around that. But those apartments that overlook the sea are quite expensive. But even if you live, maybe if let's say you found accommodation near your university, you are okay there. You can always take a bus and go to the beach. You know, the beach, you just go and spend the whole day there and come back. There is transport, accessible transport that can take you to the nearest beach. So you don't necessarily have to live by the by the beach. Okay. Can I still apply for mass even after first year? I'm not sure I understand the question, but if I understand correctly, you cannot come to Mauritius and study and then apply for the mass. No, it doesn't work like that. You apply for the mass before you come to study while you are still in your country. It's not applicable to students who are already studying here in Mauritius. It's for you if you are still in your country and you want to come to study in Mauritius, not when you are already here. So if you come here, maybe let's say you decide to come and sponsor yourself for the first year and think that for second year you will apply for the scholarship. Unfortunately, you will not qualify. It doesn't work like that. All right, so I'm gonna close the live session. Thank you so much for joining. If you do still have other questions, please keep them coming in the comments. I will respond to them. I will write back to your comments. And also, you can book a one-on-one consultation with me. You can scan the QR code in the screen, or you can check the link in the video description. I'll be happy to address all the questions that you have about the application process, about living here, or maybe you got the scholarship and you want to know what you need to do, how to apply for visa. We can have that one-on-one consultation. Okay. Thank you for joining and have a good afternoon. Bye.